So I asked the question, if you could only watch one fight on December 22nd, which would it be? Whyte Chisora 2 or Warrington versus Frampton? And as you can see, it's overwhelmingly in favor of Whyte Chisora 2, 88%, with only 12% picking Warrington versus Frampton. Now, I've said before that people who follow my content are primarily hardcore boxing fans, and they are not necessarily representative of the wider public in the UK. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Perhaps Warrington and Frampton have got a large amount of casual fans who are not showing up on this poll and voting. But then again, perhaps not. Warrington is very popular in the Leeds area, and Frampton is obviously very popular in Northern Ireland, and also in places like, I would imagine, Liverpool and Manchester, where there's a large percentage of people with Irish ancestry. But in terms of the country as a whole, is Carl Frampton a household name? Is he as big a name as Dillian Whyte or Derek Chisora? On the whole, I don't know. But maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Josh Warrington, though, I would say definitely isn't as big a name to the average guy on the street as a Dillian Whyte or a Derek Chisora at this point. But more importantly than all that, you've got a heavyweight fight, which is a rematch of a first fight that a lot of people remember because it was dramatic, it was a good fight. And then you've got a featherweight fight. So it shows you how people prefer heavyweights. Historically, this has been true, and it's still true today. That's why one of the strategies of Eddie Hearn is, if in doubt, and if his card is looking a bit weak, throw a big heavyweight on there. People love heavyweights, and some people are going to say, the casuals love heavyweights. Not everybody loves heavyweights. Well, let me not say everyone loves heavyweights, but casuals and hardcores alike love a good heavyweight fight. I've always liked the heavyweight division. When I boxed, it was in, well, the super heavyweight division in the amateurs. And yeah, I do have a certain affection, a certain affinity with the heavyweight division because of that. But be that as it may, when you look at Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, certainly two of the most iconic fighters of all time, they're both heavyweights. I don't think that's a coincidence. People are fascinated by bigger is better. And it's the case with boxing too. So I think there's a lot of that at play here. And also, as I say, the fact that Whyte Chisora 1 was a memorable fight. So people know, or at least think they know, what to expect from the rematch, which is more of the same. Again, an overwhelming majority, 88% to just 12% for Warrington versus Frampton. Let me know what you guys who didn't vote think in the comments about this. Are you gonna get mad and start calling everybody casuals who voted for Whyte Chisora 2? Or are you gonna take it on the chin and say, okay, I prefer Warrington Frampton. These are world level. You see, I've been listening to Frank Warren talk about how Warrington Frampton's a world level fight and Whyte Chisora 2. You know, he's trying to make out like Whyte Chisora 2 is some kind of British title fight. It's not. He brought up the fact that Eddie Hearn a year ago said Whyte Chisora 2 wasn't pay-per-view fair. Well, it may not have been then, but a lot has changed since then. Look at who Dillian Whyte has beaten since then. Look at who Derek Chisora has beaten since then, and the fashion in which he secured that victory. These are the things you have to take into account. A fighter's market value doesn't stay the same for his whole career. It goes up and down depending on his performances, who he's beating. Frank Warren knows this. He knows better than to come out with the stuff he's coming out with. But, you know, we all know about him and his hypocrisy. So that is what that is. Me personally, I'm definitely looking forward more to Whyte Chisora 2 than I am Warrington versus Frampton. I respect Warrington and I respect Frampton, but when it comes to the little guys, they just can't deliver knockout power as consistency as the big guys can. And although there was no official knockdowns in Whyte Chisora 1, there was a lot of heavy leather thrown, there was a lot of wild exchanges, and there was genuine animosity. That's another thing which people like about Whyte Chisora is the animosity there. Animosity sells. Beef sells. Fighters who don't like each other, it sells. So there are many, many reasons, come to think of it, that Whyte Chisora 2 has won this poll. And yeah, me myself, I'm definitely looking forward to it more than Warrington Frampton. That doesn't necessarily mean it will turn out to be a better fight. It's just our perception is that if we're talking about probabilities, I would imagine Whyte Chisora 2 will turn out to be a bit more dramatic, more brutal, because of the size of these men, big heavyweights, throwing very heavy leather. And it is a world level fight. Dillian Whyte is ranked in the top 3, I think, of all sanctioning bodies. So it is a world level fight. Derek Chisora, he's certainly not top 3. He's probably at the lower end of the top 10 of some of the sanctioning bodies because of his knockout win over Carlos Takam. And he was getting a beating in that fight. Don't get it twisted. He was taking a beating, but the spectacular nature of his come from behind knockout win made people sit up and take notice, because that was a man who went, 10 rounds with Anthony Joshua and finished the fight on his feet. Whereas against Derek Chisora, he was nearly knocked out cold in a dramatic fight. So people remember that. And again, all of this is feeding into why Whyte Chisora 2 is a pay-per-view. People get upset about it. I've seen, and they're mainly Eddie Hearn haters, Fury fans, etc., who hate the fact that Whyte Chisora 2 is a pay-per-view. Look, I would prefer that there were no pay-per-views. I would prefer that television companies do what they used to do back in the days and pay out big rights fees. And if they were paying out big rights fees, there wouldn't be any need for pay-per-view. The fighters could get financially compensated without the need for any kind of box office business. But television companies don't pay out rights fees anymore for the most part. And so pay-per-view is the only way to get these fighters paid. And I'm always on the side of the fighters. These men are gladiators who go in the ring. The absolute cream of the crop fist fighters that we watch beating each other half to death. They deserve to be compensated. They've got a very small window of opportunity within their careers to make life-changing sums of money. So why anybody would begrudge them, I've got no idea. And at the end of the day, look, if you don't want to watch Whyte Chisora 2, don't pay for the pay-per-view. Simple. Nobody's forcing you to get it. It's not a world title fight. This is a non-title fight. There is really no reason for anyone to be upset by Whyte Chisora 2 being pay-per-view. If you don't think it's a great fight, if you think it's just some nonsense, well, it's not a world title fight. It's not a fight of any great significance in terms of, as I say, titles or rankings or anything like that. No. So just don't buy it, don't watch it. But the reason that so many people are going to be watching it, and the reason that so many people are so much more interested in it than Warrington Frampton is because heavyweights sell, beef sells, we know the first fight was a great fight, so on and so forth. So, anyway, let me know how you guys feel about this in the comments. I'm out.
Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.